The best example that I can give is the good old. I love it when I go to a guy's place and he has sanitary pads or tampons. I have not had one woman who has seen this in my guest bathroom and not interrogated me after, asking if I am sleeping with the whole neighborhood. Story 1. I love seeing the TikToks where somebody interviews a girl and asks for dating advice. After they give some standard advice, the interviewer says, "But would that work on you?" Story 2. Don't post shirtless pictures on your dating profiles. It's an immediate swipe left. I met this guy who had dating profiles down to a specific formula. Without the shirtless picture, and yes, it was a bathroom mirror picture, he got basically 0 matches. With the shirtless picture, he received a flood of attention. The best advice I got from a woman was that the vast majority of women don't know what they want, but they want it now. Story 3. When they give dating advice, they speak as though all other women are just like them and act as though their likes and dislikes are the same. Do this and that, and you'll melt her heart. Plus, some suggest going overboard in my experience. A female friend was telling me to buy my current girlfriend a bunch of gifts, such as Huda makeup, expensive perfume, etc., for our first date. Story 4. One female friend was telling another friend that if the guy she was dating was interested, he would join us all for drinks. Regardless of what he is doing, if he is at work, if he has been on his feet all day, if he is visiting his parents or having drinks with other friends, no matter the situation, he would drop everything to come and have a drink. Just felt really juvenile and overly demanding. Story 5. I'm pretty sure someone posted the crux of the issue in the past, the last time this was asked. Women give dating advice that could or would be useful when you're already in a relationship or the girl already likes you. They struggle to give information on how to get a girl to like you to begin with or how to approach because, generally speaking, they rarely have to perform that when looking for dates. Plus, very few people are honest about what works on them. In summary, women's advice can be useful if you're at the point where you're dating or the girl likes you, but it won't be super helpful before that. Story 6. Any and all sex advice. There are women who like rough sex. There are women who dislike having their clitoris stimulated directly. There are women who love anal sex. There are women totally into one-night stands. Not everybody likes the same things as you. The only good sex advice is, ask your partner what they like. Story 7. The biggest issue with listening to women's advice when it comes to dating before it becomes official is that the majority of their advice is based on and comes from a place where it actually makes an already existing romantic relationship better. Their advice rarely works in actually creating interest or spark where there isn't any. They will imagine all the ways their existing, past, or future boyfriend or husband can make them happy, but those ideas should be reserved for after they become official and would rarely work before that stage. The majority of men and women don't know what they actually want. Story 8. Funny you mention the tampons. I have a box left over from a previous emergency with a girl who is now long gone. On my way to the store in the middle of the night, I told myself I would be stocking up so this doesn't happen again. I have gone through a few girlfriends since that time but never needed one. Now I have the dilemma of whether I should keep them. As far as I know, they don't expire, so why not? As a compromise, I keep them out of sight so a guest is unlikely to stumble across them. I can only hope the relief of being able to help in an emergency outweighs the suspicion of having an open box of tampons in my bathroom. Story 9. The worst relationship advice is from single women, not just on Reddit, but my wife's friends are the same. These women who couldn't hold their own relationships together are trying to interfere with a happy, working one. They were trying to get her to make me drain our savings for some big holiday that we couldn't afford or really wanted to go on. Story 10. She wondered why I had hair ties in a drawer. Are they for the other girls? How long is my hair? Oh, also, they're yours to use too if you want, but next time think before you accuse. Story 11. Happy wife, happy life is why our divorce rates are through the roof. Any woman who unironically believes that is showing you the red flag to abort the mission. It completely marginalizes the man's desires in a relationship. Story 12. When it comes to dating, focus on making friends and not on dating. I followed that advice to the point where I'm now in my mid-30s and have never really dated. Story 13. I would say most women's dating advice is not useful because the experience of women is so vastly different. Each person has vastly different likes and dislikes, so what one person likes might be someone else's dislike. Story 14. I'm gonna have to go with the classic example. The woman who sleeps with athletes and rock stars and then tells you to just be yourself. Don't be yourself. Be like Jason Momoa. He's much better. People don't usually give advice that others need to hear. They give the advice that they want to be heard saying. Story 15. That is such a weird thing to suggest. Women are both capable of carrying their own supplies but also have specific preferences. The chances that there is going to be a sanitary pad emergency in your apartment during a first or second date are very small, and the blowback is obvious. Definitely keep your bathroom absolutely spotless, though. Story 16. A lot of the sex advice from female columnists in things like Cosmopolitan is straight up garbage. Nibble on his erect penis to spice up blowjobs. Please do not bite my penis or you may get involuntarily kicked. Not a threat, a warning. Story 17. A lot of people mention, be yourself. My female friends tell me that the gist of this advice is to not put on a new persona for your dates. Don't be into everything she's into. Don't suddenly get into wine and poetry or beer and country music if those aren't your things. Sure, maybe you'll have success once or twice if you make a convincing show of being the guy you think she wants. But more likely, you're going to creep her out or put yourself in a position to either lie incessantly or be forced to walk it back. If you're a video and tabletop game enthusiast, be that. Be you. But be the most well-dressed, good-smelling, personable version of yourself that you can be. Everyone's putting their best foot forward on dates. But do make sure it's still you that she's meeting. Story 18. The ones who think they are dating experts because they love romantic comedies like Grey's Anatomy. When in reality, these are some of the most lonely and toxic women giving out advice. Story 19. Women tend to attribute positive personality traits like confidence, generosity, gentleness, and competence to attractive men. So a lot of times when a woman calls someone a creep, pervert, or disrespectful person, what they're really saying is they think you're physically unattractive. Story 20. Anything they say is terrible dating advice because women do not date women, unless she is a lesbian. But even then, women have way more specific unspoken expectations for men than they do for women. A famous one I hear is, just be yourself. If being yourself is not attracting the type of women you want, something needs to change as soon as possible. Story 21. Stop trying, and love will find you. I'm sure that's how it works for women, but I know from experience that if I don't really put myself out there and actively seek romantic connection, it isn't happening. Also, women will tell you what they wish they were attracted to, kind, thoughtful, and so on, and not what actually gets their attention and turns them on. Story 22. A lot of women will comment on rarely getting approached by men. What they really mean is that they are not approached by the type of man they are attracted to. Story 23. Love will find you when you least expect it. Yes, that's not really how it works for us. If we do not find love ourselves, we do not get it. Love does not come looking for us. Story 24. It's okay to show emotion. Women who say this really mean it's okay to be in tune with their emotions. They are fine with you crying with them at a sad part in a movie or expressing love for your children and so on. But they still do not want you to express emotion that challenges their view of you as a protector. Showing insecurity, fear, or self-doubt are all death sentences for relationships. Story 25. I want you to be open with your feelings. No, you really do not. My not calling you out on your absurdly myopic, immature behavior is what keeps us from breaking up every day. Give me some time to process and gently, kindly discuss the issues with you. Story 26. Be as emotionally available as possible. Women hate emotionally unavailable men. Laughing my head off. Being emotionally unavailable did more to get me laid than probably anything else non-physical. Women cannot get enough of the mysterious, guarded, emotionally closed-off guy. And it's not just short-term relationships either. Most of my girlfriends, including my current one, have acknowledged that my mysteriousness and stoic nature were huge reasons they felt initial attraction to me. Story 27. My favorite advice from a women's article was from Dan Savage. He took thousands of letters from men and women. All the men's advice was really similar. The women's advice was full of opposites. Women develop a huge amount of differences as they date different men. They adapt so many times that they end up as a collection of dichotomies. Men, on the other hand, stick to improving their game, and for men, it's all very basic. I've also listened to women give each other advice, and it's always what I'd like to do but don't. So why don't you try it? Several times my girlfriend has left me on the advice of her friends. Suddenly, her friends want to date me. Now she sees that happen and wants me back. Not because she loves me, but because she doesn't want her friends to sleep with me. Story 28. They are used to men wanting them, so they have no idea what it's like to be in the chasing position, nor are they considered creepy by default, I suspect. It's similar to rich people having no understanding of poverty. Story 29. Women say they want a nice guy, but nice guys are too often relegated to friendship status. Nice is rarely attractive. Attraction is what matters most as it gets you through the door. Confidence, not cockiness, is what matters the most. There are other things to add to that once you do get into the door, like being nice, having a sense of humor and intelligence, but you have to get there first. My wife was attracted first to my forearms and large, scarred hands, then to my confidence, then to my broodiness, then to my intelligence and sense of humor, and finally to my empathy. Just being nice will not attract a woman. Story 30. All advice personally. It never really helped. I've noticed that when women give advice about dating to guys, they tend to apply their desired characteristics on top of what they secretly find attractive. It's better to follow the simple formula. Be bold, be presentable, be charming, be present. Simply put, have a good time, talk to girls in general, and try to get them in on the fun. Story 31. I have no right to say that. They are not the problem. I am. I am ugly on the outside and hideous on the inside, and it's time that I know it. Story 32. Pretty much the only advice I've seen that actually works is 1. Have good hygiene, shower regularly, be well-groomed, and apply good deodorant. Some deodorant brands are terrible and do not work well at all. Be at least somewhat physically fit. A body mass index below 25 is a good start, but some muscle is necessary. Going full weightlifter is not going to be as successful as you might think, though. Don't act like you actually have problems or significant negative feelings. Maybe talk about traumatizing experiences in the past, discuss a mental health problem you had in the past, that kind of thing. Act like you're either over it or are working through it and winning. Do not vent about your problems, mention them too often, or, forbid, cry about them. The line between being emotionally available and making you his therapist is a line that is extremely easy to cross. Do not act angry around them ever. The affirmative consent thing is actually true, and anyone who says it's not is suspect in my opinion. Stuff like, does this feel good? And want me to keep going? Spoken softly into someone's ear is A, attractive, and B, required. Don't try to make yourself out to be a feminist or a major progressive, even if you are. The labels of feminist and progressive in men got co-opted by men who saw it as a shortcut to getting attention like 5 years ago, and women have learned that. Honestly, in general, be very careful about advertising what might set you out from the crowd. The line between being a weirdo and a guy with some quirks is entirely undefined and largely determined by how attractive you are. Someone at a board game night might think it's awesome that you love Pokemon. Someone at the bars will probably think you're immature. Pretend you have a good plan for your future. I've seen men get instantly dropped because they expressed a vague career plan. A lot of flirting from women is being treated in a friendly manner that you're completely unaccustomed to. But it's not flirting. I had a 3-hour discussion about interests with a woman who repeatedly expressed that it was crazy how we shared so many, who did not intend for any of that to be flirting. 10. If they cancel a date, ghost, or soft reject a date by saying they are busy without quickly proposing an alternative time or date, you are being rejected and need to move on as soon as possible. 11. Do not tell people where you work early in a relationship. There is a chance you will get stalked, and it's not a fun situation for anyone involved. I don't know, that's all I've got. Good luck. You're kind of in a difficult situation because societal expectations for men changed way faster than how men were taught to act as kids. Story 33. Women often expect men to behave like them in general. Suggestions like just tell the truth or say what's on your mind can be challenging because they are coming from a gender perspective that struggles with doing just that. Story 34. All those toxic, terminally single women on TikTok giving dating advice to women, which ultimately comes down to emotionally abuse the man and manipulate him because men are bad and men don't have feelings. The women saying this stuff are taking in, if I can't have a happy relationship with a man, then no one can approach. They don't want you to be happy because they can't be. No, we men don't like to be manipulated and emotionally abused. Don't listen to the toxic women who want you to be as big of a toxic failure as they are, who are trying to tear you down with them. They aren't queens or strong individuals. They are individuals who don't want you to be happy in love because they can't be. Story 35. Women often believe that dating success comes only from either very basic things or prosocial things, which gives incomplete advice on how to attract a partner. I'm not saying you shouldn't shower and be confident, but you also need to be attractive, learn how to flirt, and understand everything else that gets ignored when people discuss dating.